Hey everyone, Vincent Lim here with Advanced Data Experts. This is my partner Jackson. First off, we just want to say thank you so much to Anthem to giving us space to do this Q&A for pre-sale. It's going to be one of many videos, and we are right now we are at the Anthem Discovery Center. This is home to SoCo, and Dwell Presentation Center. So today, I think our whole main point is really we talk about Presale Basics at this point, and I think that we have a couple of videos out, and just to give the viewers to kind of like the one-on-one what Presale is about.
For sure, yeah. I think maybe we should kind of talk about what we've done. So combined, I think we've done over 400 pre-sale homes in the Lower Mainland. So both on the buyer side and for developers, which sets us, I think, apart from other people in the industry having that kind of knowledge. So I think we've seen so many questions and clients come through, so we've decided that so many of the questions are the same. So I think we wanted to talk about what the basics are and what a pre-sale actually entails.
Yeah, well, Jackson, why don't you tell us a little bit what is a pre-sale? I think a lot of people think what pre-sale is like, you know, maybe putting money down on a home and getting it later. And I think some people are thinking also pre-sale is only for investments only.
For
right?
sure. Yeah. I think there's a lot of questions about what it is, and sometimes people get intimidated because, you know, like what are we buying into, what the pre-sale actually is. So I think we start from the basic is what is a pre-sale. So a pre-sale is you're essentially buying a contract to purchase the property once it's built, because right now there's no home to purchase at the moment. We are purchasing a future development, which may be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, sometimes even 4 years, depending on the project that we're selling at that given point, right? So let's say where we are now, we're in the Anthem Discovery Center. They are selling multiple projects here. So one which is SoCo, which we've sold in as well. So when you come in, you're looking at a project that is going to be completed in about 4 years' time. You're purchasing a plan from a pre-sale center, so you don't actually get to see the home that you're going to be purchasing. We will look at floor plans, we'll look at what they've completed here in the show home to kind of see what you're going to get in the future. Right.
So I think that's where this kind of like segues to the next question here. Like when people come in here, feel like, you know, they are buying just a contract and just based off on the model and the floor plan, right? So does developer, who's developing, does that really matter?
Of course, I think that's what we're going to talk about next. Is you know, well, you're buying something that isn't actually built yet. So who are you purchasing it from? Why it's important to choose which project you're buying into, who the developer is, and who the construction company is, because like we're talking about here, you're buying a contract, so you need to be trusting of the company that you're purchasing from, right?
So how does one buyer coming into the presentation center, let's just say they viewed the whole project, how can they do their research? What kind of like resource, or maybe the questions that they can?
For sure, I think that's where, you know, we come in as well. You know, what our expertise, who we have worked with in the past, and track record is super important. Let's go to, again, we're here at Anthem. They are a large-scale developer in the Lower Mainland. They've done huge high-rise projects, multifamily, master plan communities, which gives us I would say a sense of comfort in where we're purchasing, knowing that they've completed projects before. They've completed projects to a very high standard and level, which is also important.
Okay, so would a buyer be more beneficial for them to, let's just say, you know, they got to do their own homework, but what is the difference between a buyer coming into the presentation themselves or getting an agent represent them in terms of what's easier for them to do their homework regarding development?
I think that's a question that we've been asked before. It's like, okay, well, you know, who do we represent, and who does the sales staff represent? So, you know, when we come into a presentation center or we meet with sales staff, so the developer will always have their own sales team, which represents the developer, right? They they're not allowed to give advice or give or influence the buyer in aspects of the contract or what it is. Versus for us, we represent the buyer or the client coming in, and we're able to kind of really break down what the project actually is, what it entails, what risks you may or may not have in purchasing a pre-sale, right? And also the risk of that specific project, right? Like going back to who we choose to work with, which developers we work with, we are able to offer advice because we represent the buyer.
I think that's a very, very key point that I feel like I think a lot of buyers don't actually know that. That they think that, and it's just unfortunate. I think we're in the industry at this time for the last 6, 7, 8 years. We're on an up, and there's obviously all realtors are not the same.
Correct.
Right? There's some realtors that are out there just to try to make a sale, try to 100%. Force that contract down your throat. But versus another agent that you use that is really looking out for your best interest. I think that's what we really care about.
I think that's kind of our, I would say, mantra for how we do our business, regardless of the pre-sale resale side, but especially on the pre-sale side where we work with a lot of first-time home buyers, people who've never purchased before, but they're trusting us with their money first of all, and really their a future to what they're gonna get.
Right.
And I think that's important for us that we place the client in the right projects that's right for them, right? Like we also have to think about what they're gonna do with it in the future.
Right.
Right? Like because we're not talking about right now. Like what does it look like in 3 years time, 4 years time? Are you using this for an investment? Are you gonna move into this? Is this a future family home? I think those are questions that we like to prep our clients with, like well beforehand, before we even get to this stage.
Talking about that is on Facebook. I don't know. Have you read some of the comments on Facebook on the videos?
No, not yet.
Okay, so obviously there's always gonna be people that are Debbie Downers or whatnot, and they're saying that don't buy now. The market's gonna crash. Why are these people promoting these projects? And for me, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, of course, like we are right now in like a slower market. Interest rates are high and whatnot, but buying a pre-sale or even a resale, I feel like a lot of buyers have different reasons of buying. It's like when the market's going up high, don't buy because the prices are going up too high. Market's going down, don't buy because we don't know where the bottom is, right?
Of course.
So I think that you touching, I think for pre-sale, I think would it safe to say that for purchases, it's good for the people that are wanting to plan for investment, and there's different type of buyers for a pre-sale sector of that.
I think for our, let's just say for our clients so far we work for, everybody has a different plan for what they want to do, right? Whether it be for investment, you think that yes, the future is going to be better. Interest rates may come down in 3 to 4 years when you go to close on it. Which we're going to start touching on. How do you pay for a pre-sale?
Right.
What actually happens, right? So why don't we talk a little bit about deposit? I think a lot of people don't really understand where your deposits go.
Right.
Who holds your deposit, right? Because we're talking about the future now. So you're not actually paying for this home right up front, right? We're paying deposits in different, kind of timing to pay for this eventually.
Okay, so right now, what would you say, what's a kind of common deposit? What are developers asking for?
Why don't we talk a little bit about SoCo, where we've done our sale recently. So usually at time of contract writing, you're going to be paying about 5% deposit to start. After that, your next deposit payment would probably be another 5% in, let's say, 6 months, and the final 5% 6 months after that. So roughly 15% over the course of a year right now is pretty common, depending on the project. If the project is almost completing, the deposit payment may be a little bit less. Right. And now that we're talking about deposits, our clients will always ask us, who do we make the deposits to?
Right.
Right. Every developer or project will have their own trust account with a lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we go to write our contracts with our clients, everything will be on the contract, where the deposits go, how the payments are all scheduled out. Everything's all pre-signed.
Yeah, I think that for the viewers, it's like you don't have to be, as long as you're going with a good developer, good project, you should feel safe for the deposit going to.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, like here. I think we've always had clients ask, like, hey, can the developer just take our money and run away?
Yeah.
What happens to our deposit if things don't go as planned, right? So I think the very good thing about buying in, where we are in BC is that your deposits are protected, right? They go into a trust account. The developer does not get to access those funds unless they take a deposit insurance on them, right?
Got it, okay.
And to even get deposit insurance, they need to be at a certain pre-sale requirement level.
So I'll give you an example. So let's just say if a project doesn't complete, let's just say worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah. Does this deposit still stay in the trust account?
So absolute worst case scenario is that deposits get returned to the buyer.
Yeah.
And I think that's not, I wouldn't say that's a bad scenario, but you do get your money back if in the event that the pre-sale does not happen for whatever reason.
Yeah.
In the contracts, there will always be a few clauses in there that allow the developer to back out of the contract or kind of not go ahead with the project.
Got it. Yeah.
Right. The most common one being not hitting pre-sale target requirements. Right. So, generally for most projects, it's 60 to 65% is the pre-sale requirement, right? And let's kind of dumb that. Let's break that down a little bit, right? Where we say, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
So, in a project of 100 homes, the pre-sale requirement would probably be 60 to 65 homes that need to be sold for the project to really go ahead. That's in majority of.
When you say the project really go ahead, meaning they are able to start
Correct. They actually able to break ground and start building and get their construction financing and be able to access deposit insurance. So I think that's something that not a lot of people know or talk about. Right. Because when we go into a project, like we need to know that the project is going to be successful first of all, right? Like we don't want our clients to be purchasing into a project that's not really selling at all.
I don't know if I shared this with you before, but 2 years ago, has it been 2 years? 2 years ago, I know that this particular developer, obviously I won't mention their names, but like I've heard of things that they're not super good with their finances and whatnot, but they're still promoting projects.
Sure.
And we have a buyer that's adamant about buying this particular project, and we've already gave them the warning and whatnot. So they went ahead and purchased it. And Lord and behold, they have not started their they haven't even started their project at all, right? And we're talking about just townhouses, right? And right now we have no idea what's going to happen and whatnot. But in terms of in that kind of scenario, as you said, the deposit's still safe. But I feel like the worst is, you're essentially losing money, right?
100%.
Because even though you get your deposit back, you missed out on the opportunity.
Correct, because you can't purchase on anything else, right? So I think that touches back into the contract. So again, that's where our advice comes in, right? We advise our clients on where we think is the best possibility for them to put their money into, right? It's a long process, and you can't legally get your money back out of there. Like once you're in that contract and the rescission period is over, your deposit is there until the developer either finishes the project or cancels the project. Right.
Before we go into like the rescission period for that, I just want to talk about back to the having picking out a good developer. But how would one even like I guess there's always a risk, right? Like I'll give an example. I think it's out in the news already. The project at Number 3 Road in Richmond. Big building. You got big marketing team down there. How do you even know? Like those kind of things. Like how do you even know? Like for me, I think I can speak for myself. Like I went in, if they had like a pretty crazy presentation center, the marketing is a big marketing team going in there. Developer, yeah, maybe you have heard of it, maybe
Sure.
not.
Yeah.
But going there, how does the buyer, like, how can we give advice to maybe, like, avoid that? Or is that something that it's a risk, we rolled the dice, nobody saw it happen?
I mean, I think there's always going to be, there's always going to be risk.
Yeah.
I don't think we are in a position that we can de-risk anything 100%.
For context wise, this is a development that's in Richmond, number 3 road. If you see it across Lansdowne, it's the news everywhere. If you saw it, a big empty lot for the last, like, I think 6 years,
like
7 years,
7
years. Pretty much it did not complete, and I think it was basically with financing. And I'm not sure what's happening with the project now, but I'm assuming everybody's deposit is still held in trust.
Correct.
They're not legally to get the money.
No.
At this moment. So you get more than 200-300, I think, buyers that have first of all not get a home, second of all not get their deposit back. It's still sitting in trust, which is, again, worst case scenario. So I guess that's what's happening with that.
But, I think again, I don't think we are able as advisors to de-risk anything 100%, right? But I think what we can do is control as many variables as we can.
That's right.
Right. So again, going back to who we choose to work with, the track record, the company's strength is really important, right? Like if they're able to have 10 construction projects on the go, already completed 20, 30 projects. We know their balance sheet is probably pretty strong. Their financing is strong. They've got a good track record in the Lower Mainland, right? Of course, there are going to be projects or companies that are new, up and coming. And it's not to say those companies are bad, but I think we need to do our due diligence as your realtors and advisors to know, hey, like, we need to dig a little bit deeper. Who is behind the project, where their financing is coming from, how much have they already sold, which is also important, right? If the project has really not sold too many homes, we probably don't want to put our clients' money into that, to be held there.
I feel like even more so now. Real estate is obviously a thing, right, in the Lower Mainland, and you would have people that take advantage of it, developers, and then again not completing or whatnot. But I feel like you put a point. Good point is, like, we do want to put our buyers into a great, not just in the location, but a good developer. For sure. That has a good proven track.
I think a proven track record is important, right? Like, because we have to trust that they're going to build the home to a standard that we expect them to, right? Where we see in the presentation centers, like we are here, and we're able to go back to track records. Like, we've sold previous projects, and we've, our clients have been happy, taking possession, and warranty and such is super important as well, which we'll touch on a little bit, later. So why don't we go back to contract? Let's go back to contract, because it's a big deal.
This is a one that I feel like. To be honest, I don't think a lot of buyers actually read over the contract.
100%.
And I don't think agents, even some of the agents, go over the contract. But touch point of, like, what's important.
The contract is the most important thing in the pre-sale purchase, right? Because that's what you're going in to sign, and that's what is the whole thing between you and the developer and us, to ensure you're going to get what you're going to get, right? In the contracts, it'll break down all your deposit schedules, when your completion will be, what to expect in terms of what's included in the actual home that you're purchasing, because not everything that you see in the display suite is what you're going to get, right? Like, we always get clients ask us when they walk in, be like, hey, are these all included? Is the shelving included? Is this TV included, right? So I think that's kind of for us to explain to our clients, what it actually entails.
So today, I think that also one basic point is, so the contract, once they sign, do they have, in the resale, there's subject dates, right? For subject renewal, but what would be the term in pre-sale? I think it would be the rescission period.
Correct.
So how many days do we get for those?
So we get 7 days for the rescission period once both parties have signed off on the contract and your deposit's been paid. So in those 7 days, really, it's essentially our subject period, right? that's the time when you go kind of, we review the contract with our clients. That's something that we do.
Yep.
We also review the disclosure statement with our clients. That's also something that we do. Not everybody does that. So I think that's something that's important to bring up is these are very important things that you need to review, whether with your agent or with your lawyer or whoever is representing you.
I think given it, I think that we have a few points is, okay, we'll touch disclosures, disclosure statement. Yeah. Okay, so why is it important is number one, if you mentioned it's completion date. Strata plan, initial strata fees.
Yes.
Number 4 is the bylaws of the project, and then included items. Yeah. Out of these 5 points here, what would you say is one of the most important key that you should be, if anything else, like completion date and whatnot, what is something that's like you have to like double check?
I mean, I think it's tough because I think those points that we brought up are the important points in the disclosure statement. I mean, a disclosure statement's like 200 pages sometimes. It's a lot. It's a lot.
The best part is when our buyers are being like, do you want the disclosure statement digitally? No, we want the actual thing. And when it's actually like, it's thick.
It's thick. Yeah. It's a lot of pages. It's a lot of information. And I think going back to, let's go back again in terms of advice.
Yeah.
If you don't have an agent and you're relying on yourself or the sales staff that represent the developer are not going to go through the disclosure statement. That's not their job.
See, that's like that. A lot of people still don't know that, right?
Yeah. Like they'll give you all the information, but they expect the buyer or our client to understand this 200, 300 page book of legal terms. Yeah. And it's important. It's important to know what you're getting because that disclosure actually is the legal and binding document of what you're going to get. Yeah. And again, we talked about a few things. Is the bylaws. What are you allowed to do with that home? Can you rent it out?
You know what the biggest one was? The strata plan. Based on the strata plan, I think it was one of the projects that I think both of us were worked on, and it's so important to check the discrepancy of what they advertise and what the strata plan is with the developer and disclosure. And the only way to check that is double checking on the disclosure statement with the strata plan. Right.
And again, I don't think many people understand the difference between what a marketing plan is and what a legal strata plan is. Because in the floor plans that we call marketing plans, which is what we share with our clients who inquire about projects or our viewers who have messages about SoCo. Yeah. And when we send out the package, like the preview package with all the floor plans on there, there's a range of how big the square footage should be. Yeah. But that range is actually not the actual size of what the unit's supposed to be. Yeah. So you're going to have to match your strata lot with the strata plan size to actually get the legal size. Yeah. And this is all, I mean, we don't have enough time today to get into every single thing, but these are things that you need to know. Yeah. And the completion date, of course, is huge because you don't have a completion date like 30 days out, 60 days out. We're talking about 3 years, potentially 4 years, and it's open-ended. Yeah. Because you don't have a set, it's not, Jackson, we're going to complete 2024, December 5th. Right, it doesn't exist. Yeah. The completion date varies because of the construction process. Right. How long it takes. I mean, that project may or may not get delayed.
Yeah. I think we probably have to wrap up this video, unfortunately, because I think there's so much things to talk about. But with the completion date, so let's give a really just like basic example. Let's just say it's set to complete 2023 fall. Yeah. How many times can the developer extend those days?
That's a great question. I mean, each contract's actually different. Like, there's actually a completion date, and there's actually an outside date, and also a potential extension of the outside date. So, really, like, the completion could be extended 6 months, 9 months, a year, and as a buyer, you actually don't have any recourse against that because of what we've talked about in terms of what you sign on the contract. Yeah. Like, once you sign, you are essentially in this project until it completes. Yeah. Right. So there's a lot of factors here. So it's something again that we as advisors have to talk to our clients about. Like, hey, this is a very long-term investment for your home, you need to know that there are always potential delays. There are things that are out of our control. Like I said, we do our best to control as many variables as we can in terms of where they're going, the location, the developer, the construction team, but there are always things that are going to be out of our control. So we do our best to prepare. I think that's the best thing to say.
I think it goes back to what we talked about right in the beginning is developer. So if you're going with a good developer, and there might be delays, but you can count on they will complete within a reasonable time frame
100%.
Compared to a small developer, which our team also has myself experienced with my own personal purchase that it's supposed to complete 1 year and it delays 2 years. For me, it's like those things. It's not a big issue for me personally, but I'm just thinking the buyers, they're buying for themselves to live it and plan to either move their family. They're in there, and then the whole thing gets.
Of course, and I think I think again it comes down to our knowledge and our expertise of what we've done in the past, how we've been able to get our clients into the correct homes and the correct product, right? To do our best to get these guys what they need.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it for our video today. We're definitely going to do a part 2. There's a lot of things we do want to cover, and also another video, and probably next one we're going to do is we'll talk about the financing, personal financing, and also I think a big one is the GST, and also maybe potentially if you're buying an investment, if you want to do a resale, those things I feel like a lot of taxes, GST, those things I feel like those are the buyers that you need to know before you even make a purchase in a pre-sale, depending what your plan is going down the road. So
I think what we can say is buying a pre-sale is definitely complicated. It requires a lot of thought. It requires advice. It requires advice from professionals and people who've done this before. I feel like the last few years, especially with the run-up of the market, people think it's just like, I'm just going to sign this.
It is, and they think they're just going to make money just like that.
And I think we're in a good position to explain and talk about the pros and cons, because it's not all pros. I think it's not all positives, right? There's always going to be back and forth. So I think there's lots more to talk about, and we'd love to have you join for our next video as well. I think we can.
So if you have any questions regarding pre-sale or real estate, or even just about the market, just feel free to reach out to Jackson and myself. We're available pretty much anytime, so call and text us. But I'm looking forward to the second part of the video. Hopefully we can bring that to you guys very, very soon. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.